Hello, Richard here. And today I've got a bit of a paint stripping job on the go. I've got actually two things I need to strip the paint off. One is this old record woodworking vise, which you can see has been rather badly abused. It's had a treatment of the old white emulsion, which seems to have got in every household implement somehow. And I've got a 4.5-inch milling vise, which also needs some paint stripping off it. Now, I thought I'd just do a quick video about this, which is what I'm going to be using, which is a Bartoline TX10 paint and varnish stripper. And I'm fairly new to this product. I haven't really used it much before. And one of the problems in like buying a new product when you look at like online reviews is you don't really know who's reviewing it. And what I mean is like a product like this might get really great reviews on something like Amazon, but you don't know whether that person's been using it in the same way you're going to use it. You know, they might have been using it to remove some really sort of weak paint off something that's freshly painted, in which case they think it's great. Or they might have tried to remove some powder coating off some motorbike wheels and didn't like it at all. So what I thought I'd do is I'd just show you it working on two kind of representative sort of home workshop kind of jobs. You know, this is as I say, an old woodworking vise with, I don't know what this paint is, possibly enamel paint. And this metalworking vise, this has actually got what looks like hammerite, old green hammerite. And that can be quite challenging. So we'll see how this does. We'll give it a go on both the vices. If it strips the paint off this one, I'll be quite impressed, I must say. But anyway, we'll give it a go and then I'll let you know what I think at the end. Right, so let's have a quick look at the old instructions. It says, apply a generous, thick, even coat, brackets, do not brush out, whatever that means, at a rate of 1 litre per square metre. Well, yeah, not going to be able to work that out with this, I'm afraid. Onto the surface to be stripped with a suitable brush. Leave for approximately 1 hour and then apply a second coat. Once the stripper has softened, scrape it off. So basically smudge it on thickly, leave it for an hour, come back, smudge a load more on, wait till the paint goes soft and then scrape it off. So, right, sounds all right. Now I've got my safety gear on, got some gloves and I've got some eye protection. You don't want this sort of flicking into your eye while you're sort of brushing it and all that kind of stuff. And I've got a waterproof plastic tub here I'm going to be working in. So let's get some parts over and get some paint stripper on. Okay, well, let's start with some of the woodworking vise parts and get a good coating of paint stripper onto that. As I said, good thick coating. Do not brush on, do not brush over, whatever it was they said. I guess basically we just want a nice thick coat. So we'll just smudge that on there. Smudge being the technical term for applying paint stripper. Squidge, I suppose, would be a word. So let's just pop that in there. The handle's got quite a bit of old paint on it as well, so we'll get that, move this over to the other side so we can give this a coat as well, soften that up. It's all over the handle and everywhere here, so let's get a coat over that. Got to say, this stuff doesn't smell too bad either. It's not the most pongy paint stripper I've ever used, which is always a bonus. So make sure we've got a good coat on there. And then we can do this piece. So what I'll do, I'll carry on getting the paint stripper painted all over here. Then we'll get a bit onto the old milling vise, leave it an hour, and we'll come back and see where we are. Okay, well, it's been about an hour, and, well, I'm quite surprised actually, quite pleasantly surprised. The milling vise, which looked like it had hammerite on it, which I thought would be the toughest, has gone, well, it's just coming off. It's wrinkled up really nicely. Now it's looking like it's all going to come off really easily. So that's completely sort of not what I expected there. The woodworking vise, you can see we've got a little bit of wrinkling going on. Paint's softening up, looking all right actually. This stuff's all coming off a bit. So yeah, it's looking good. What I'm going to do is give it another coat of paint stripper, agitate it around with a brush a bit. I'll probably leave it another hour, then we'll come back and then I'll probably get the wire brush on it and see what comes off. Right, well, let's give it some more paint stripper. Right, well, another hour's gone by and it looks like it's simmering quite nicely. So I think time to start taking it off. Now what I'm going to do is a combination of like scraper and a steel brush, bearing in mind that on the milling vise, I don't want to steel brush any of the sort of precision ground ways on there. So I'll be a little bit careful on there. But yeah, really just a case now of seeing how well it comes off. So let's see how we do on some of it. Actually, this vise looks like it's got some kind of like red oxide primer underneath. Let me see if I can get you a better view of that. Yeah, I reckon that's sort of old red oxide primer. I don't mind that, to be honest. I mean, I'm going to be repainting this, so I don't mind if it's if that stays on there. But the rest of it's just coming straight off. That's really good. Let's have a little look at the vise so I can show you how that's shaped up, because that's obviously different paint. And then I'll carry on taking it off and I can bring you back in when we're a bit further along. So let's just see how this looks. Yeah, that's taking it almost down to bare metal there on the side. That's pretty good. This is rougher, so I think we'll give this a little go with the wire brush and see how that looks. Hopefully you can see that okay. So what I'm doing as well, bear in mind with this, you don't want to be flicking paint stripper backwards and forwards. So rather than brushing backwards and forwards, I'm just brushing in one direction. That sort of brushes all the bits that fly off down into the tub there. So handy to bear that in mind so you don't cover yourself in little flecks of paint stripper. It's hard to see exactly what's going on with that. Let me move that vise out of the way a little bit. Have a look. So I don't know how well you can see that. I have to get it in the light. But that's looking pretty good. That's basically down to bare metal there. So I reckon this is looking good. I'll carry on, clean it all off, we'll give it a rinse, and then I'll bring you back and we can see what we think of Bartoline TX10 paint stripper. See if we think it's any good. Okay, well I got all these parts cleaned and dried last night. It's now the next day. Time to take a look and reach a verdict. Now I've got to say, on the whole, this all looks pretty good. I'll bring you in a bit closer so you can just see how well this is done. Okay, well let's have a look at the quick release lever, and that's come up really well. It's taken pretty much all the paint off that. There's a little bit left just down here, but that'll just scrape off, or I'll just paint over it. I'm not too worried about that. But yeah, that's come up really nicely. The handle for the old woodworking vise, if you remember, that was quite caked in paint, and that's all come off. That's perfectly clean. Again, a little bit of flash rusting on there, but it's not a problem. And the main sliding jaw of the vise, most of that's gone down to bare metal. So this had a lot of the original paint on there, which I thought would be quite stubborn. Bear in mind that the paint on here is over 60 years old, so it's going to be probably kind of matured onto it. We look over the edges. There's a few little remnants left. Nothing to worry about. I mean, just a little bit of a scrape and that will be gone. And it's got most of the old paint off the underside. Looking at the machine vise, we've got this little block here. That's cleaned up very nicely. There's a tiny hint of green paint on this end. But that's about all. The rest of it, all the paint has completely come off. And like I said, I'm surprised with that. I thought that the hammerite would be a bit more stubborn. In the past, I've stripped hammerite off components, and there are times you have to like physically remove it. You have to chisel it off almost. It's so ingrained. But the main bulk of the vise, if I show you that, you can see it's got most of the hammerite off. And it's basically just left it down to what looks like red oxide, I'm guessing that is. Now, whether I leave that on there, I need to decide yet. It's possible that the paint stripper has compromised it or weakened it. If it stays soft, I might have to give this another coat of paint stripper. Again, it's not too critical. The main thing is that it's just cleaned up, de-rusted, and then painted to stop it rusting anymore. So, yeah, very happy with that. Well, so the verdict is, yeah, it's good stuff. I'd definitely use it again. It's done a great job on getting the paint off both of these vises. It's not unusual to have to give things several coats, especially on old paint. So if you want to try it out yourself, I'll put a link in the description below to Amazon where you can go and pick some up. I'm not affiliated with Bartoline. I'm not paid by them. I don't get any kickback from them. It's not sponsored in any way. It's just another product I've used that I like, that hopefully, having seen it in use, you can decide whether it would be any good for you as well. So if you've got any projects on the go like this and you need to strip the paint off, give it a try, and let me know in the comments how you get on with it.